People, DG, good evening, folks. I'm back again. Now, we've all seen the England international announcement in regards to the playing squad. If not, go and type that in on Google and check for yourself, because, yeah, it threw up some surprises. And not really surprises, but surprises in the sense that, yeah, we've been calling for a lot of young players to play or get introduced within the England squad. Specifically, you definitely have heard me say we need to throw our hats on the likes of Mason Mount, Jadon, Sancho, and James Maddison, all three of which have been called up, and they've all had positive starts to the season. And while all three are not the finished article, for me it's a positive step for Gareth Southgate and England, so we can move forward as a whole. It's brave from Southgate as well, not in the sense that I'm sure Mason Mount's announcement, maybe on the basis that he plays in the Championship, will throw up some headlines, but no one's going to really be thinking Southgate's a crazy man or anything like that, because we've needed it. To me, all three should be licking their lips, because at the prospect of featuring in further squads and being main parts of his squad long term, especially going into Euro 2020, because he's constantly spoken time and time again of the lack of creativity in the side, the need to introduce creativity, to the point where even when Lallana didn't really deserve a call-up, he got called up. There's questions for himself to answer based on the tactics if he wants to implement creativity as well, but that's for another video. I'm happy to see it, man. Mason Mount deserves it. I mean, just focusing on Mason Mount for a second, it's weird because he faces the prospect of making his England cap, or if this video comes out after, making his England cap, getting his first England cap for the side, before he's even played, correct me if I'm wrong, in any capacity in an official professional game where 3 points are on the line for Chelsea. Similar to Ruben, well, it's not similar to Loftus-Cheek. His is a bit different in that he established himself for England reasonably before doing the same at Chelsea. But yeah, for Mason Mount, it's been a great season. I mean, he started in all 14 games, I believe, that Derby have played in. He put in a great performance against United at Old Trafford, a mature performance beyond his years. I really like him as a footballer. He's got everything to be a top player. It's down to him to work and develop, and we need to pray he doesn't get injuries. But he's a quality player. I've seen him do it for England at youth level. We've all watched what Chelsea as a whole at youth level have been doing. So you've definitely seen Mount. He hasn't just popped up out of anywhere. He's actually had a good season. Or has he? Did he have 2 seasons at Vitesse? I can't remember. But he definitely last season was doing all right. Also at Vitesse, playing in the Europa League. So he's got a solid grounding. He made the difference for Vitesse in Holland. He's got a lot of professional games under his belt. He's playing for Lampard at Derby now, and he's been playing him as an 8 and things like that. I mean, who better to learn to learn in midfield from than Frank Lampard? I mean, he could just teach you just about everything, and you can see similarities. They're completely different footballers in my opinion, but you can see similarities, and it's a great man to learn off. And yeah, next season will be a bit tough for him, because right now it's similar to, it's quite completely different, but when there's a young player like Kylian Mbappe, like you've heard me say, for example, everybody loves them, and the next season they need to ask questions. Kylian hasn't quite had that, but next season people are going to ask Mason Mount questions. He's quietly been going about his business at Derby and previously at Vitesse, but people are going to scrutinise him. And if he continues the way he goes, and if Derby get promoted, there's a prospect of Premier League football. But if Derby don't get promoted, I don't think it would be the end of the world if Lampard's still there and he serves another term with Lampard. But you'd imagine there'd be Premier League interest, so he's doing the right thing. And then there's the next carrot of, you'd like to think he goes out on loan, but I think he can fight for a spot at Chelsea. Obviously, what I believe and what actually can happen and the sheer numbers of people in that squad are completely different stories. But yeah, he can fight for the squad. But I mean, you're looking at, I swear I wrote it down, you're looking at the prospect of a new manager and Sarri coming in. I think Sarri likes him. He's a Sarri sort of player for the ball he wants to implement. But whether he takes him is another thing. He's got Barkley, who's not really a first teamer in the sense that he's the first name on the team sheet, but he seems to be getting a resurgence, and he's in the England squad after a 2-year absence. Kovacic is still there, but if he's made a permanent transfer, you don't know. Jorginho's there, Kante's there. They're all completely different players to Mount, but on the basis of 3 in midfield, 2 in midfield, these are all spaces being taken up. Cess is out of contract, I believe, forgive me if I'm wrong, or he could be sold or something like that. But if he's still there, Surrey might buy someone else, I don't know, innit? But if he could play Mason Mount as a 10, then there's a position for him to have. Obviously, there's another debate for Hazard. But I think he'd be best served actually developing as an 8, to be honest. He could marry that creative maverickness that he has in him with being an 8 and doing other midfield roles, because he puts in a shift. But yeah, Jadon Sancho as well. I mean, a year ago he literally won the under-17s World Cup. Now he faces the prospect of again possibly making his full international cap when he joins up with England, and it's a fantastic achievement. He's developed well at Dortmund for the last year and a bit. Last season he did his thing, he was blooded in slowly. This season he's already bettered his assist record for the season already, and he's got 1 goal. It's not plain sailing. He's still not starting games and first name on the team sheet sort of thing at Dortmund, but he's getting there, and he's definitely developed more as a player than he would if he still sat at Manchester City's bench. And he's completely aired all the other age groups, as you should do. You fast track players. He's not done the under-21s thing. He's not done all of that nonsense that you'd probably have to do if he was still playing for the under-23s at City. How much minutes would he get? I mean, he's not necessarily, like I said, playing every game, every moment of every game at Dortmund, but he's trusted within the side. There's a big trust on him. They've given him a new contract as well, so it's onwards and upwards. And there's a lack of creativity, and he marries the perfect blend of someone who's been coached well and someone who's got technical ability with someone that still plays with the joy of essentially playing in the cage. The way he beats players is amazing, man. I really like Jadon Sancho as a footballer, and I'm keen to see how he can become as a footballer, because you got Nelson, you got him, possibly Marcus Edwards if he gets down and keeps banging football as he is on loan. You've probably got some random people everywhere that will come up at this time. Yeah, obviously Sterling's there as well, a couple years older than him to say the least, but he's there as well. So there's a fantastic prospect. And then you've got young Maddison, baller at Norwich. He played against Arsenal and was one of the best players. He's a lovely technical player. He's playing like he's been at Premier League level for years. Like, he really takes everything in his stride. You can tell he enjoys like being a maverick. If the team's behind, he wants to be the one to get their minute, G everyone up. He's the one that wants to put things on the front foot. He stands up to be counted. And again, a wonderful footballer. Excellent set pieces, an excellent passer. Still not the finished product, but he's getting there. And I mean, from what was their first game of the season? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it Leicester versus United at home, or was it a couple games into the season? That game he really stood out. I mean, yeah, he was balling at Old Trafford like he is a baller, and you'd like to think a new contract for him is on the way if he makes his England debut. Such is the rise. I mean, what he's got in 7 appearances, I'm so sure he's got 2 assists and 5 goals. So more or less 7 and 7 or something more or less like that. Sorry people, I'm gassing up the thing. He's got 2 assists and 3 goals. So yeah, he's contributed to 5 goals in 7 games. That's pretty decent for someone that was playing in the Championship. And it just shows when you're a good footballer, you're a good footballer. People overstate sometimes the jump in leagues and things. Sometimes when you're a baller and you've got the right mindset, you can hack it. All 3 players have gone through all different types of development in their careers. You've seen Maddison go from Coventry, actually be loaned out, correct me if I'm wrong, by Norwich, and then obviously blooded in, and now look, he's playing in the Premier League. Sancho was at Watford, then he obviously went to City, had a good education, made a name for himself, and took the leap of faith to Dortmund, another club renowned for developing players, where Mount's more or less done his thing at Chelsea, come through the England ranks like the rest of them. Solid education at Vitesse, regardless of what people say. It allowed him to play in a professional environment and be a maverick and stand up to be counted for the fans and fight for 3 points. And he's gone under Lampard at Derby, and he's taken everything in his stride. They're all not the finished articles. There's a big chance they all might not actually go to the Euros in 2020, but if they keep fighting, they have a chance. And for the players not involved, like Sessegnon, whose form probably hasn't warranted it, it's a carrot, because you know if you fix up your form, if you play well, people are watching. Southgate's actually resisted a lot of calls not to call up Sancho, but it's happened now. It's just down to these players to show what they can do, and to possibly make a debut against a team like Spain or World Cup finalists like Croatia is what we all dreamed of when once upon a time, young or old, before you realise you can't be a professional footballer, when we were playing in cages or however you played football. But I'm ecstatic for all 3, man. I love to see this. There's an issue in regards to creativity, like I said at the beginning, with the England side. So all 3 within their respective positions should be licking their lips, essentially. If I'm Sancho, I'd probably fancy my chances a bit more than Maddison and Mount, because I believe Maddison definitely at this moment should be in the side. There's not really there's a lack of quality out wide. The quality is really coming from the fullbacks, really and truly, ironically. We ain't really got any mad wingers like that again, really and truly. But yeah, man. Guys, DG, there's nothing more to say, man. Get in the comments, subscribe, and do the rest if you wish. I'm out. Thank you for watching and viewing as usual. Your support means the world.